So good afternoon, this is Neil from the group, and today I'm up at Strichen Recumbent Stone Circle, and it's Monday the 6th of February 2023. It's roughly about 8 degrees, lovely beautiful day. And since I've got a pretty good signal, I'm going to just do a live stream rather than just a video. So this is Strichen Recumbent Stone Circle, well known to those in the group and well known for having a bit of a checkered past. Well, I suspect most stone circles have a checkered past. It's just that this one seems to be quite well documented. And most of the, well, all of the stuff I'm going to talk about this circle today is directly from Great Crowns of Stone, which is a free PDF. You can just Google it, from Historic Scotland. Well worth a wee read through, especially if you're visiting the stone circles. So what's so checkered about this circle? Well, it's been documented that this circle has been cleared, rebuilt, cleared and probably partially rebuilt, and cleared and rebuilt again in the last 300 years. So the first time it's been documented was 1830, that the site was cleared and rebuilt. And the interesting thing about the Great Crowns of Stone documentation is, although you can see, if I go and look over the recumbent, you can see the stones in the circle here. The documentation in Great Crowns of Stone suggests that the recumbent setting back in 1830 was here, but the stone circle was actually to the south. In other words, the recumbent setting was facing north. This recumbent setting was facing north rather than south as it is today. And there is some evidence of that. If I go across the fence here and I look back across to the recumbent, this patch of land that I'm standing on is flat, and then there is definitely a ring here, ring shape, circular shape all the way around and back to the edge of the recumbent. So there is some evidence that when this was cleared and rebuilt back in 1830, that the circle was actually, I would be in the middle of the circle here, and the recumbent would be facing north. Why that is, when we know every other stone circle, recumbent stone circle in Aberdeenshire faces south-southwest, is odd. But nonetheless, it was documented as being cleared and rebuilt. Maybe a bit of a mistake, maybe a bit of, I don't know, a bit of reinterpretation at the time. But back in the 1960s, again, this, what would have been this circle here, was cleared. And when I mean cleared, I mean, I believe that the stones were actually unplugged and removed somewhere else. Although I believe that these are the original stones, but maybe removed and used in dikes or something like that, or just moved out the way. In the 1960s, it was rebuilt, and the circle, the recumbent, would have still been as it was, maybe rebuilt as it was, you know, kept the sockets and such as best as it maybe can, and then the circle was rebuilt facing, the recumbent facing south, and the circle on the north side of it. And again, there's some dubiety in the Great Crowns of Stone documentation about this circle. Was it a best guess? Was it following maybe a mistaken kind of fence post line? Or is it the best that they could maybe find of the original stone sockets? Also, there's little oddities. I mean, there has been some kind of ordering of the stones slightly. This one, for example, number one stone, number one flanker, number one stone rather, it's odd that it's thicker, or rather the wide section of the stone is side on to the recumbent, when normally it would be turned 90 degrees and the thicker part, or the wider part, would be in line with the recumbent, which is a bit odd. So this has clearly been rebuilt, remodelled and shifted around a few times, or at least documented a few times, and this is a clear sign of it. The recumbent itself is not embedded, it's on little sleepers and little stilts of stone at the bottom, which is another kind of indication that there's been some movement. Well established recumbents, the recumbent stone itself is embedded, you know, whereas this seems to be slightly elevated. Another kind of sign of, or an indicator that it's been reconstructed or moved at some point. Number 3 stone, however, looks like it would be a kind of classic, well-dressed, thicker, in line with a recumbent type stone. But again, a bit of a kind of guess. The kind of checkered past then of whichever side the circle stood on, the south or the north, it has been, interestingly, two things. It was used as a dung heap when the land round about was being cleared of trees and shrubs. It was used as a kind of midden heap, and that's a kind of rather Scottish word, which means a kind of like a rubbish heap. But in the documentation, it talks a lot about dung being used as well as a kind of storage area or somewhere to put stuff. Secondly, and rather oddly, it was used as a location for tea parties for the estate tuberculosis sanctatorium. So, which is like about as random as you can possibly get. So, a bit odd, but it's certainly had a bit of a checkered past, especially in the last 300 years. So again, let's have a wee look round. So stone number 1, a good height, so I'm 5'4", so it's a good height of a stone. Again, could be the original flanker, could be number 1, could be anything, but it's the size that we would normally expect flankers to be, which are usually the tallest stones in the circle. Nice size recumbent. Again, if it's been moved and remodelled and shifted and pulled apart, it could possibly be a lot bigger, but it's certainly a sizable recumbent. Flanker number 2, or stone 3 rather, again well dressed. I guess that's the main thing about what we've seen from other recumbent stones, is that they are well dressed, they're at, you know, good right angles. So I suspect that although the stones have been shifted and moved around, that they've maybe not been too much altered, too much of redressing or reshaping. Hard to tell, but there is evidence of good right angles on these stones. Again, you can see from the recumbent they're on little plinths, especially here and here. A little bit thinner for a recumbent, not too bad though, but it's certainly one that's been moved around. And oddly, it's got a drill hole, so a good sort of 2-inch across, not too deep, but this could, I think that's maybe packed with stuff. But what was it used for, the drill hole? Your guess is as good as mine. There's a stick, and it could have been used as a, you know, like a sundial. It could have been used as anything. But drill holes normally mean, or normally have a kind of indicator that there was somebody attempting to reduce the stone. So up at the ringing stone, there's a couple of examples where recumbents are fallen, and there's drill holes all the way along, spaced around about 12 inches apart, which would, with a little bit of gunpowder, a little bit of explosives, I'm not talking big explosions, just talking little pops to break the stone apart. The drill holes were used to do that. Break the stone apart, use them for stone dikes and such, but it is a bit strange that you've got one drill hole here, dead centre in the middle of the recumbent. Again, it might have been something to do with the reconstruction. So if we walk along, so we've got stone 4. Really nice stone, really nice seam of quartz coming through it. And again, quite well dressed. Another kind of sign, it's a bit like the North Stone circle. It's been reconstructed a couple of times as well, and it's a bit too perfect. This circle's just a little bit too perfect. And no surprise, and somebody's probably stood in the middle and done a line so you got a nice clear circle to follow when they were doing the reconstruction. Nice stone 4. And again, they're all much the same kind of height as we kind of get back, you know, decrease from the recumbents down to the back stones and then back up again. But again, reasonably well dressed. Quite a bit of damage maybe done to this one at the top. Stone 5 and 6. Now you could, there's a bit of a thing going on with stone 6. It could maybe have put some kind of like zigzag to it. There's a couple other circles up, like East of Cortes have got a zigzag stone. There might be something round about this one for sure. 6 and 7. Now, seem to have right across from the recumbent, there's a bit of a gap here between the two stones, but yeah, number 7 is the smallest stone. Again, you've got to keep in mind this is a reconstruction. Like 3 times over, it might be at least twice. So, you know, it's a best guess, perhaps, if nothing else. Stone 8, again on the small side. 9's getting a little bit bigger again. Again, evidence of reasonably well dressed. Again, the stones have maybe moved around quite a bit. Would certainly maybe suggest that this one's maybe been had a whole section chamfered off it. It might have been a far more square stone at one point. So that's the last one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, stone 10, and this is you know, square as you can get it, isn't it? Lovely stone. Again, it's a lovely circle and a lovely location. This has definitely been the original site for the circle, for sure, but it has had a bit of a documented past between a place to have a cup of tea when you're suffering from tuberculosis to a dung heap to facing south to facing north. Some companions there, some sheep there, but there you go. Hopefully you've enjoyed that wee walk around. I'll see if I can maybe make it to Achy Bray before the sunlight heads off, but thanks very much for joining us, and I'll speak to you soon.